I feel like too in the church, if you have pain or frustration towards someone, a lot of the time you are just encouraged to pray and like get to a point of forgiveness, right? I feel like that's the very common, normal approach to it, is just like if you have pain, then you're the problem, and it's that you haven't prayed enough and God hasn't taken that pain or frustration from you. And that's definitely a perspective and a belief you could have around confrontation.
Kindness looks like not being honest about what you feel. Being a Christian looks like dying to your feelings, denying your feelings. It's easy to make this whole emotional health thing weaponized and make it somebody else's responsibility to regulate your emotions. Every time something hurts and you don't address it, it's like putting a rock in your backpack. Confrontation is taking rocks out before you collapse in a relationship.
If you shut down, people please, explode, or go silent in conflict, this training will show you exactly what to say, how to say it, so hard conversations build intimacy instead of breaking trust. Super excited for you to watch this.
And confrontation is one of those interesting things. I feel like in the church, it's not really practiced a lot. It's kind of frowned upon. It's like you should just be nice and you should just get over it. And you shouldn't let things bother you so much. And kindness looks like not being honest about what you feel. You know, being a Christian looks like dying to your feelings, denying your feelings, and just loving other people.
I feel like too in the church, if you have pain or frustration towards someone, a lot of the time you are just encouraged to pray and like get to a point of forgiveness, right? I feel like that's the very common, normal approach to it, is just like if you have pain, then you're the problem, and it's that you haven't prayed enough and God hasn't taken that pain or frustration from you. And that's definitely a perspective and a belief you could have around confrontation. But I know what's created our belief around loving confrontation a lot is like that verse where it says, if you like have an offense with your brother, leave your gift at the altar and go. Wait, can you put them back
you want me to
up?
wait? Okay.
I'm like in the middle of a
Sure.
thought.
Sure.
I need to see your faces to be able to finish my thought. But leave your gift at the altar and like basically go and make it right with him before you come back to worship. Like that is mind blowing to me, that God would be like, you want to come to me? Hold on, leave your sacrifice here and go and make amends with your brother first. And I've seen a lot of people like leaning into the emotional health world too.
This is so good.
Have some unhealthy pendulum swings with confrontation as well, where
you triggered me. You should stop doing the thing that triggered me.
Where you feel empowered because you're learning healthy ways to confront, but maybe you over communicate things or overshare with things that aren't that other person's responsibility.
You enter into control. It's easy to make this whole emotional health thing weaponized and make it somebody else's responsibility to regulate your emotions.
Yeah.
And that's also not what confrontation is. I think a lot of people are like, okay, you have to choose between either blaming and accusing and attacking somebody and giving them a piece of your mind, or dying completely to the way they affected you, you know, moving past it, getting over it, moving on with your life, water under the bridge, let's move on, this doesn't affect me anymore. No, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me. It's like a year later, no, it doesn't affect me. You're like, you obviously are avoiding that person in the room. Like you let a little bit of a resentment slip out in conversation right there. You kind of just gave a jab and you didn't realize it. Did you know that you were sarcastically jabbing that person? And it's like we see these things and we're like, oh, so why confrontation? It's actually really near and dear to our hearts. And I think my hope by the end of this training with you guys is that you actually learn to love it. Like really, really love it, and also feel a level of safety in your nervous system with going after confrontation in close relationships.
And Spencer's created the training, and I'm going to bring in my 2 cents all throughout it, because I actually have a interesting relationship.
Oh, this is good. Yeah.
I have an interesting relationship with confrontation because I have practiced a lot of loving, healthy, respectful confrontation with people that didn't have a capacity to meet me in it. And it hasn't made relationships better, but it has given me a lot of clarity on the type of people I'm going to be leaning into relationship with. So when I've practiced confrontation, the way that people have, not the way that people, there have been several people who have not been able to step up to the challenge and also have a healthy, loving conversation. And so that's created clarity for me of like, you're not the type of person that I'm going to build relationship with.
Or they're in denial to their pain.
And though that is painful for me to come to that discovery, I'm very thankful for the times I have had those healthy confrontations, because it let me know sooner rather than later the type of person that they were.
Yeah.
Right? Like sometimes we and I and Spencer want to avoid hard conversations to keep the peace. Or to protect a relationship or to not ruffle any feathers. And I totally understand the temptation in that. It is very tempting to like be the person that just makes your friend feel happy and loved and safe and warm and doesn't need anything and never has any bad feelings. Nothing's ever wrong, right? Do any of you feel like that? Like, I just want to be the person that people love. I just want to be the person that brings the good things to the relationship. Likeable. And doesn't bring any challenge. I know I've felt like that many times because I don't want to feel the pain of rejection. I don't want to like validate any judgments that they might have or I might have about myself. So I would rather just put my best foot forward, sweep my pain under the rug, take it to Jesus, hide in him, and then never have any issues in the relationship. But I, in hindsight, am so grateful for those times that I did have those conversations, because I could have spent another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years investing into that relationship, only to find out 5 years down the line, we aren't compatible when it comes to confrontation in relationship, right? I'd rather lose a relationship 6 months in than 5 years in. So I want to learn to practice bringing my authentic voice to the table early on, and facilitating really healthy, loving, respectful confrontations, so it's something that can bring us closer together and not further apart. 2 things I want to do really quick.
Oh, okay.
The first thing is I want to just buffer. I prayed it a little bit, but I want to buffer that as we talk about confrontation, sometimes we will feel this urgency of like, I need to do this now. If you're anything like me, what happens is if you have pain and emotions that come up thinking about that conversation that went poorly that you had with someone, or the conversation that you never had with someone that you really need to have, we will get this anxious, nervous energy in our body. And there's a belief that if I reach out to that person and have that conversation and say what I need to say, then that energy will leave my body. Our body is actually looking for a way to regulate and get that energy out. But you impulsively having this conversation won't be the way that will take care of your heart, and it won't actually release that energy. Okay, so what I want for you guys is to marinate in some of the things we're going to be talking about, and what I don't want is for you to impulsively write out a text to a person while we're speaking or at the end of the call tonight or after the call and hit send. That's not what I want.
Yeah.
If you are feeling things in your body, this happened to me just a couple of weeks ago where all of a sudden I got hit with, man, this relationship that I really wish we could have better closure, blah, blah, blah. I felt like the solution was to just reach out and try to have clear communication again. And I gave myself a timeout, and I decided if I still feel this in a week and I've taken care of my heart and I've processed with the Lord, then I will reach out. So give yourself a boundary and a timeout after this training. Okay?
Yeah.
Deal? My next thing is I want you to write out any questions in the chat that you have about confrontation right now. What's like one thing burning or brewing that you would really love us to chat about? And we'll do this again at the end of the training, and I want to see like which questions we answered and which ones you guys still have. So write those out. And we're going to jump in.
I don't want to add one more thing to your writing, but I will. If you guys could tell me what is like, if I say the word confrontation and you don't give me your Christianese response, you just say, this is kind of what I think about when I hear the word confrontation, write in the chat. Like, what is, when you hear the word confrontation, like, what does that mean to you? What do you think of? What does it sound like? Maybe a word or two or like a sentence. Like when you think about confrontation, high emotions, great. What else? Disagreement, nice.
My immediate association is like fighting. If I've learned a lot about
confrontation, I like that.
I love that. I've learned a lot about confrontation, so I know what like my adult brain thinks, but a lot of the time we kind of flash back to what confrontation looked like growing up. And that's kind of our blueprint for what confrontation is.
Do you want them writing their questions in the chat, like as we go?
No, I just wanted them anything that they had, like
we're gonna have
initially.
To scroll back up.
You don't even have to read them. I just wanted them to like put them there.
Cool.
And I said we're going to do it again at the end of the call.
Okay, got it.
We'll see which ones have been answered.
Cool. High emotions, tension. Yep. I like the confrontation thing. That's cool.
That's cute.
Helpful if other person is in a healthy place. Okay. Loud, aggressive. Yeah, honest.
Yeah,
Strong opinions voiced. As I dive more in this topic, I think about restoration, rebuilding now.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. Opposite views and differences. Great. So when I thought about confrontation, I felt intense anxiety most of my life. Intense anxiety. The idea of my having feelings that could cause somebody else negative feelings made me feel intense shame. I believed that everybody else's emotions around me was my responsibility. And if I was a loving Christian, then I would be able to control all of their feelings and make them happy around me. This made me a great winning others over person. But when I couldn't win somebody over, I felt intense anxiety and I avoided those people. And I almost had a sense of pride in my ability to make people laugh, to make people happy, to make people like me, to encourage people. It's like I had this arsenal of tools. And they were so good looking in the Christian community. Oh my God. People loved me. Pastors especially. Parents. When I was in high school, parents loved me. I was like that kid. They're like, I want my child hanging around Spencer because he's just such a great Christian. Like, I'm telling you, super Christian on the outside. All right? Deep down inside, terrified that people might see that I'm the person that I hate. Not enough, not lovable. Right? And I think sometimes for us, we go, okay, where did I learn these words about confrontation? Where did I learn the meaning of confrontation? Confrontation has been displayed, modeled in our families. We really watch the way confrontation is either done or not done, and we learn to model after those things or heavily react to those things. And that becomes so ingrained in our nervous systems as children, and then it sets a code book. And sometimes we forget that code book is running the show the whole rest of our lives. Again, this is why all of us are here. We're like, I want to explore what are some of these things trapped in my unresolved childhood pain still. This is one of those subjects. Why did it cause me so much anxiety? I remember talking to my mom for the first time when I was 21 years old, sharing how I felt growing up. I felt a pressure to rescue her. I felt this walking on eggshells feeling around her. Like, at any moment, it's like I had to learn to read her so that we could make sure mom was okay, not overwhelmed. So can we make sure everything's clean in the house? Can we make sure that, she knows she's cared for, that she knows she's like worthy of love? Can we make, it's like these things that I couldn't quite articulate, but you could sense them. And then all of a sudden it's like we hear dishes slamming on the counter. I hear the fridge close really hard. I hear some huffing and puffing in the kitchen. I'm like, oh no. This is one of those moments like love's going to be completely withdrawn from me. And then I start hearing nobody cares about me in this home under her breath. Like nobody, it's like, and these things. And I'm like, and I just want to say first with my mom, I'm not making a monster out of my mom. If my mom were to ever watch this, I love my mom. She had such a rough go because my dad was not present in a lot of the parenting experiences. My mom also had an intense upbringing with a father that was very, very, very abusive. Like to the extent of abuse, you'd like, you look at that and you're like, that's disgusting, the type of abuse that could be. And so where she came from, she had so much love and kindness and really held it together the best she knew how in our family. But at the same time, as a child, all I'm dealing with is what I'm experiencing, right? And I think sometimes it's so hard for us to process these emotions because we don't want to make conclusions over people that have affected us and make monsters out of people that have hurt us. And this is not about making monsters out of anybody. What this is about is figuring out how to take ownership for your emotions and recognizing healthy levels of responsibility within those impacts. Confrontation, I just want to say, like, why is this such an important subject? I think there's a cost of not confronting. There's an extensive cost to not confronting. How many of you guys have been in a relationship where somebody did something, it really, really negatively impacted you, and you didn't bring it up, and then years went by? How many of you guys have had a situation like that at all? Friendship, family? Did that bring you closer together or further apart? And I think why we don't confront isn't always because we think confrontation is necessarily bad, so we don't know how. And so we're going to jump into that later on. But really, I kind of want to just walk through, like, why is this such an important subject? God confronted Adam in the garden. Like, one of the first things we see in Scripture is a loving God. What's he doing? Searching for Adam. Confrontation, to me, is searching for connection. It is searching for connection. Where are you? Where is our connection? Where was our connection lost? And can I be honest with my experience of that loss and be able to talk about it, right? But when we don't talk about that loss of connection, the separation gets larger and larger. And that's honestly why I think the people that were meant to be the chosen people completely rejected and murdered the Messiah when he came. I think enough disconnection bred itself into that relationship between them and God that when he finally even showed in the clearest image of God that has ever existed, they rejected, persecuted, killed him. I think that's what happens when we don't actually bring things up or address things earlier on in the relationship. When we let shame creep in, when we let these things, these wedges, you can go numb, explode later. You're like, that didn't bother me, that didn't bother me, that didn't bother me, that didn't bother me. I can't believe you've always been this way, this way, this way. You've never loved me. It's like whoa, where did that big, huge statement come from? Like, gosh, I know we've even had that in our marriage where
Totally.
I'll be like, you're kind of just always this way. And it's like, whoa. I can take responsibility for this moment right now, but I can't take responsibility for you not sharing 50 other moments. Okay? And I think, like, as we're jumping to this message, like, I want you guys to kind of, like, understand that this is a tool. This is a tool for connection. And every time I've had a serious confrontation, I usually always start, and we're going to jump into, like, some how-tos, some phrases to say, some language at the end of this, because I think that could be helpful. I usually always start my conversation like, hey, I just want to let you know, I might share some things that might be painful, but ultimately, I want deeper connection with you. I want, this is a conversation I'm having because I want closeness with you. If I didn't want closeness, I wouldn't be bringing any of this stuff up. I want to be close to you. I share that so that the other person, regardless of their triggers, will know that my goal is to step closer to them, rather than like, I'm going to give you a piece of my mind and however you take it, I don't care. Take it or leave it, pal. Like, that's not the way we do this in the kingdom. And every time something hurts and you don't address it, it's like putting a rock in your backpack. After 30 rocks, you can't move, right? After 100, you can't breathe. Confrontation is taking rocks out before you collapse in relationship, okay? So that doesn't mean sharing, like, if you have one of those people, you're like, I haven't shared anything with that person for a long time. Start with something small. And usually it's best to have confrontations in the midst of a good connecting moment. But one more thing, one more reason I just want to say, like, that confrontation is so good. We've met with people all the time. They're like, man, I have no issues in my life right now. Life is so easy and good. But then when you start to investigate, you're like, no, you've created this healthy little buffer around you and people where you're just maintaining the peace in relationships. And you're not doing any level of depth with really anybody. You moved across the planet to be away from mom and dad. You've avoided anybody that's brought feedback into your world. And you have no spiritual mother or father or leadership or mentorship. And then every time they've showed up, you found a way to disqualify them. And everybody's at fault except for you in your life. You're like, that's very interesting. And if I were to bring that up, you'd probably avoid me too. Crazy. So it's like confrontation is one of those things where you're like, okay, if I'm not addressing why I'm so afraid of being confronted or giving confrontation, then I will continue to be powerless to connection and intimacy in my life and relationships. That's not what we want. We want closeness. And that's the goal of this, is how can we create closeness with people in our lives?
I think too, there are some confrontations you have because you want closeness. There are others you need to have just to have clarity and closure to a relationship. It's
so good.
Easier and a little more black and white if we made this whole topic about how to have confrontation with people you want to be close with.
Oh yeah.
Right? That's definitely easier. We can give you ways and language and help you understand how to not bring blame and judgment and things like that, which is always an amazing tool for any confrontation you have. But there are other confrontations that you have to find clarity and to help you figure out, like, what do I want in this relationship? Some of my confrontations, like the last confrontation I can think of, I had already read the writing on the wall of a friend in my life. The writing on the wall was, she doesn't reach out. She said she wanted friendship. She doesn't invite me to anything. I'm specifically the only one left out, with the rest of the group. But she told me she wanted to be my friend. So the writing on the wall is, there's something she doesn't like about me, and there's a reason why she's leaving me out. And instead of me making up in my head what I think is the reason, or just deciding to quietly remove myself from the equation, which I already kind of had. I had just quietly been like, okay, I'm just going to pull back. I can see what's happening. But instead of just leaving it in this passive, avoidant, no communication wonderland and pretending like we're friends when we see each other, I was like, I would rather honor the amount of relationship we've had over the last couple of years and have a clarifying conversation. This conversation, based on her response, will either bring us closer together, or it will give me the clarity that I need, and it will end with us not being close. Hopefully, it's done with love and respect mutually, no matter what it ends up in. So in this confrontation, and I told her this, the goal wasn't for us to be friends at the end of it. I let her know, hey, I don't need to be your friend. I'm not saying any of this because I need you to include me or invite me in any of it. I am just wanting to know why, and if there was something that I did that maybe caused you pain or offended you, I would just love clarity, because I don't know, because you've never communicated why you don't want to be friends with me. All I know is on my experience of our relationship, there's a lot of quietness and me being not included in things.
Yeah.
And she was incapable of having healthy confrontation. My messages were really loving, very vulnerable, very tender, not controlling at all. Here's my experience. Here's my pain. I don't need anything, but I would love some clarity. And I was met with blame, judgment, accusation over things that she never communicated to me. And she didn't share any of it with any vulnerability. And my response was like, hey, I hear you. I'd love to sit down and hear more. I want to hear your experience. I didn't get to hear a lot of vulnerability in your message, just a lot of assumptions about me. But if there were things that I did that caused you pain, I would love to hear your heart in it. And she was unwilling to have a conversation with me. I was met with more judgment, more assumption, more accusation. And so I saw one of the questions, and I think it's a very good question when it comes to confrontation, is what do you do whenever the person you are needing to have a conversation with, or a healthy confrontation with, doesn't want that same thing or is unwilling to have it? Great question. The thing is you cannot have a healthy confrontation with someone who is unwilling. If you think about all of the work, for me, if I think about the many, many, many years of facing myself, doing ministry school, inner healing, learning about confrontation, reading books, getting therapy, doing counseling, confrontation is still scary for me. So what do I do whenever the person that I'm needing to have a confrontation with is unwilling to do it? Well, I have to like put the empathy pants on of like, wow, confrontation is really scary. And if I've done 12 plus years of work to be at the point where I am able and willing to have a loving, respectful conversation and it still feels this scary to me, I just feel compassion for this person's inability to understand their triggers, understand how to share things with vulnerability, not bring blame, not bring judgment. Like, I'm not going to project and expect you to be where I'm at and be ready and willing to do this.
Yeah.
But that is very clarifying for me of we're probably not equally yoked and able to build any level of relationship if we can't practice this skill together.
Yeah.
And that answers my question. It doesn't solve the pain in my heart. It doesn't solve the frustration of, dang, it sucks that it ended like that. Dang, it sucks that you are unwilling to have a loving conversation with me. I wish I could hear your vulnerability. I wish I could hear your narratives you have about me. I wish I could be in your shoes and understand what must be going through your head, but I'll never get that. And so with that frustration, with that pain, it's not something that anyone will ever be able to solve for me.
Right.
And even if she could have a healthy conversation with me, I wouldn't want that conversation to be the thing that resolves my pain. I want that to be a me and Jesus job. So that's when you know, okay, this is pain that I can process through in healthy ways. I can process it with a safe person, share my pain, my frustrations. I can journal it. I can write a letter that I never send to that person. And I also get to bring love and compassion to my inner child of, I'm so sorry you feel judged. I'm so sorry you felt so wronged by the way that that person handled that. I love you and I'm going to fight for you and I'm going to protect you, and so will Jesus. Jesus, how do you want to love me through that?
You know, and this is one of the best things I ever heard from Damon Thompson on Community, was that community for the sake of community is not the aim. You know, community for the sake of community doesn't lead to healthy community, because you'll be looking to community to meet the childhood deficits within your heart. Ultimately, burning for Christ and having like the connection as a son and daughter with the Father, and having that be the main burning thing within your heart, is the thing that leads you to others that are in that same journey. And that's what forms community. It's that we are one heart, one mission, one vision. And that one heart is what draws people closer together. We're like, oh my gosh, we're all worshiping the same Father that loves us. So when we're going to community for the things we need as our capital S source, like, listen, there's like capital S source needs. That's where we go to God for those things. There's lowercase s source needs. Like, Sammy meets my needs, but she doesn't meet my capital N needs. Like, that's where I go to God. If there's a moment where we're both in need and like we're waiting for one person to just like die to themselves to meet the other person's need, you're just living in constant compromise. And then you're keeping track and tallies. Well, who died last time? Oh, I died the last 5 times. When are you going to start dying so that I can have my needs met? And that's how marriages fall apart, is because you're in this for, what can I get out of this? That's not what marriage is. Marriage is when you're like, hey, we're 2 little kids doing our best to learn how to connect with the Father together. We're running after this burning connection with God together.
And as you practice and cultivate getting those needs met from God before, during, and after the confrontation you had or didn't get to have, that is when you are actually set up to have the healthiest, most loving conversation and confrontation. Anytime I'm going into any type of conflict, I am going to God first. Otherwise, I will inevitably be looking to that person to meet my needs, to make me feel loved, to make me feel secure, seen, known, chosen, wanted, accepted, right? Subconsciously, we are dealing with our inner child when it comes to our pain. So even if I am an adult, it doesn't matter if I'm, 25 or 75, it doesn't matter how many years of counseling I've done, I'm still dealing with my inner child in these moments.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do is set myself up for success and look at like, okay, I have a really big need to feel understood here. Because why? Because my core wound from childhood was feeling misunderstood. That truly is one of my core wounds, is feeling misunderstood. So if I know this about myself, now I can know I'm going to be looking to this person to meet that need of seeing me and understanding me. And if I go into this confrontation without that need being met from God, it's going to be really painful. And even if they meet that need of seeing me and understanding me, do I want my need being in their hands?
This is how pedestals are created.
Do I want to make myself vulnerable in that situation of that person being my source of me feeling seen and accepted and understood? Absolutely not. Because what happens the moment that they can't meet that need again?
Yeah.
It's going to feel so much more devastating. And so we want to really get honest with our needs, get honest with some of those core wounds whenever you are thinking about a confrontation or going into confrontation, so that you can be like, okay, God, this feels really scary. I can see that I have a big need to feel understood and accepted. How do you want to meet that need, God?
Yep.
And then you can go into that conversation, especially in marriage, because you're practicing this so frequently in marriage. Then you can go into that conversation without it being high stakes, because it can feel very threatening whenever you're looking to your husband to meet that need of you feeling safe. And he's too triggered. And now he's a threat because he can't make you feel safe. And that's when the guns are ablazing and it turns into that actual confrontation where you're like, this is fight mode, because you can't meet my need right now and you're supposed to meet my need and I never feel loved. Well, that's when it gets so high stakes.
Well, the hardest thing about this in marriage is that there are very valid points you can bring up in these types of confrontations too. Yeah. Like, we've had conversations where she's like, you're not really pursuing me and things like that. And I can see every point she makes. I'm like, that's all really valid, but am I not allowed to be exhausted and forget and also be so stressed out of my mind for the last 2 weeks and have no capacity to pursue you? Why is this I'm the bad guy all of a sudden? And vice versa. There's plenty of times where both of us, we don't realize it until we have a clarifying conversation afterwards. Oh, I was in trigger. And I was trying to get my needs, my capital N needs met from you as my source. Codependency and idolatry run hand in hand. And idolatry is this big thing where we're it's almost like this big word where all of a sudden we feel like we just committed the unforgivable sin. No other God before him. I have other gods. Oh no, I'm dun 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 dun. And it becomes another reason to shame ourselves relentlessly. Which we Christians know how to do really well inside of religion. And then we look at the Father and he's this whole time, my kindness is actually what leads you back to repentance. Maybe you should draw a little closer to this God instead of your own judgment seat. But what happens is anytime there's something that is good enough for a season and we make it our God, so whether that's your spouse, your job, a feeling, a community, a friend, a church, a mission, a ministry, and your influence, whatever it is, your significance in an area, anytime that thing actually works for a season, that's when you're actually starting to set yourself up to fall. Pride comes before the fall. Why? We're setting our security into something that is inevitably going to have an expiration date. And when it does, it's more devastating. And what happens is anytime there's a person that is in your God spot in any degree in an area, it will be a monster. And you will blame that thing for not being able to give you the safety, security, relationship, validation, whatever you're needing in that moment that you've drawn from that person, you will make a monster out of them. This is why with our parents, we go, I hate my mom. I hate my dad. We have that feeling of why do I hate this person so much? It's because you desperately need something from them and you don't believe you can get it elsewhere. And that's that codependency, it goes hand in hand. That's why confrontation feels so high stakes. I don't realize I still need something from you to be okay. I need this to resolve in conflict to be okay. I need to have connection from you afterwards to be okay. Your sense of okay is what rests in capital S source needs. That sense of okay, that's how you know. Is my sense of okay threatened? Now, it's okay still to have those moments where you're okay, well, I'm still weaving through it. Give yourself grace to know well, there's a reason why I've placed that person or that thing in my capital S source needs. I haven't known God in this area. Well, that's okay. God knows that. He knows that he's revealing himself to you all the more. Like Jesus is like Christ in us, the hope of glory. That hope of glory, it's a continuing growth and manifestation of his presence as our relationship and awareness grows of who he actually is to us. You know, in Hebrews 2, it says, we do not yet see all things placed under his feet, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, why? It's a growing awareness of the image of Christ in our lives. And so I know this is like, okay, well, how did this take this direction? Well, so confrontation is like healthy confrontation is a byproduct of having these things in proper placement inside of ourselves. Codependency and confrontation, they're right here together. And if you are codependent in any way, that's going to threaten your ability to do healthy confrontation.
Codependency is so hard to get out of, so I don't want to minimize that because I know how tricky that can be, especially because a lot of codependency is created from lifelong dynamics that you experienced in your household. And it kind of created your blueprint and your map for how you do relationship. But that codependency, like anytime you're feeling like I need you to be a certain way or to give me something to be okay, those moments, as we can just get honest with it and become aware of when we're being codependent, it's such a beautiful invitation to just pivot and be like, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm looking to Spencer to meet my need of safety. That's okay. Of course I want to do that because I didn't feel safe my whole life. You know, so in this moment, I'm going to be honest, like, God, I have this need for Spencer to be safe for me, and he can't be that for me right now. How do you want to be safe for me? How are you wanting to redefine that in my life? How do you want to be my main source? That's the capital S and lowercase s. That was so confusing for me to get for a long time. All it means
it's
is
your
like
bae before anything else.
All it means is your main source. You don't want someone else to be your main source of anything. Safety, love, feeling seen, acceptance. You don't want to be looking to the people in your life for that. They might be able to be that for you for a time. Like our first year of dating and engagement and marriage, that was a beautiful time where Spencer was my sense of safety. I never got to experience safety in a person before him. That was very healing for me and for my nervous system. And it's okay that we were codependent in that time. It's okay that I was dependent on him for that time. God uses relationship to bring a level of healing into our lives. But there was a time when I learned that Spencer couldn't be my source of safety. And sadly, that had to be a painful season where he came crashing down off of the pedestal that I put him on. He could no longer be my main source of meeting that need for safety. And though that was a really shitty time in our marriage, it was so messy, so painful. I'm so grateful because God was like snatching that back. He was like, he cannot be your sense of safety.
Yeah.
That is my spot in your heart. No, put no other man before me in that. And I had to learn that in a lot of scenarios with church leadership and relationships with my girlfriends and in marriage especially. Like I'm going to have to do that with my babies too. It's going to be hard and painful. But there's normally a time where that thing needs to come crashing down for God to have his rightful place in the throne of our hearts again.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for those times because now I can recognize like, okay, Spencer can be safe for me sometimes. It's okay.
Yep.
It's okay if I weave in and out of codependency in moments, but I'm going to be honest and I'm going to, in the moments I'm feeling that codependency, pivot right back to Jesus. God, how do you want to be my source of safety? How do you want to meet this need of acceptance or whatever it is? Because as you can get your heart full of that connection with Jesus, the source, the main source that wants to be on the throne of your heart, the only one who can meet that need, then you can move back into relationship from a healthy place now.
So what is healthy confrontation? Healthy confrontation is having a voice. It's being heard. It's coming with desire for connection and understanding. Like Sammy was saying, sometimes that understanding is protecting the relationship that is available. When I notice friends or people that have told me, hey, this person has demonstrated they're not as safe. We hit a threshold in our relationship. I'm starting to take steps back. I feel like we went too deep. I think this is probably more of a fringe relationship than maybe like one of my close people. And moving a person out of a boundary in relationship is really hard. Like, how many of you guys have ever had to do that?
Once you've gotten too close and you decide you don't want that anymore.
You're like, I don't think I want closeness with this person anymore. Yeah. And I think what we immediately do is we go, I should be ashamed. Like, I should be ashamed for this. Like, this is something wrong with me. Right. Like, and also I think we go, okay, well, I'm just going to let the relationship do what it needs to do. And we don't address it. And with family.
And we don't always need to address it either.
No.
Disclosure.
No. But here's what I kind of tell people is I'm like, okay, so did you make an adjustment in the way that you interact with that person without telling them? If they're like, yes, my principle is always to at least have a dialogue about that. And at least just put it out there. Hey.
Can I say this is the reason why we're married, probably? Can I tell this story?
Yeah.
So Spencer and I, story time, grab your snacks.
We got some stories.
Spencer and I had been really good friends for 1.5 years, and he had moved for like 6 months and moved back. And so we were spending time together again, and he had a girlfriend at the time. And I ran into him at the gym, invited him over for dinner. He's like, I'm going to talk to my girlfriend about it. I'll let you know. He ends up coming over. His girlfriend was fine with it. While we're having dinner, he is saying to me, hey, just so you know, when I see you, I have a level of excitement energy. And that's energy that belongs to my girlfriend and my future wife. And so I'm going to be making some adjustments in the way that I engage with you. So if you're experiencing me different, or if I'm not showing up the same way, or we're not interacting as much, I just want to let you know that's why. And immediately, first, can you talk about turn on? Like, I had like brief moments where I felt attracted and drawn to Spencer romantically, but most of the time in our 1.5 year friendship,
tiny fleeting moments she was attracted to me.
No,
very, very fleeting.
My eyes were for someone else. Okay, I'm like a one man kind of woman, and my eyes were
She's like,
somewhere
well, I
else.
wasn't absolutely repulsed. There were just tiny moments.
Oh my gosh. I definitely had moments though where I felt drawn to him, and that was one of them. That was like the main one where I got to see, I had always loved him. He was always very honest, authentic, connected, communicative. Like, I really respected him, even when he was like messier when we first met. But that conversation showed me so much maturity and growth. And for me, I remember, for years believing that whoever I married, I was going to lead them and have to like mentor them so they'd be healthy enough to be with me. And in that moment, I just realized like, this is a man that I can respect. This is a man who is leading me even in friendship. He's like setting boundaries. He's setting culture in the way that we connect. And I said to him in response to that, whoever marries you is going to be such a lucky woman. And I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't know that it was like this strong pull and desire to be with him. I couldn't register what was happening in me, but I felt so impressed. And they ended up breaking up within a couple of months, and we were married in less than 1 year after that. And it was his ability to create clarity in our relationship, which he had done from the very beginning, that was so moving to me and created so much safety and trust and respect. And I've gotten to do that in a lot of like my friendships with women. Like over the last several years, he's taught me so much about communication and having healthy boundaries that it has helped me create a lot healthier dynamics, even in friendship with women, where I will address things that before marrying Spencer or being with him at all, I just never would have talked about it. I never would have known to talk about it. There would have been a lot of things I wanted to say but felt weird to say. Learning skills around communication and confrontation have really helped me become a leader way more than I ever would have been able to be without these skills.
So I'm awesome. I'm just kidding.
You are, baby.
Isn't it so much better to have somebody else tell people you're awesome than to like, oh man, So good.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That's great.
It'd be really nice.
Just you wait.
It'd
just
be
you
so nice
wait.
to just have someone talk you up like that. What must that feel
Well,
like?
it's weird to like be put in that position now to have to say something. Gosh, how about an organic moment later?
Just kidding.
Yeah, no, I was so terrified. That's why this is such a meaningful subject for me, because I really felt like chains got broken, like shackles got broken off of me when I learned how to have a voice, how to vocalize feelings without shame, to have meaning and true value in a relationship besides wearing the masks that I'd so clung to for so long. I was a chameleon. And I became anything to everybody, and I justified it with the way that Paul talked about being a Jew to the Jews and a Gentile to the Gentiles. It's like, yeah, but nobody knew me. Nobody knew me. And I didn't get to experience true acceptance in my closest relationships.
Or any unconditional love.
No, because the conditions were controlled by me all the time.
Whenever we become a certain way in order to keep love and acceptance, we're actually setting ourselves up to be conditionally loved by people. You might have people in your life that would want to unconditionally love you and love you for like your true authentic self, but if you never share, you're never vulnerable, you never let people know how things impact you, you're actually holding unconditional love at bay. Because you're like, well, they loved me and they just did that thing, but if they knew how I really felt, they probably wouldn't show up for me like that.
Yep.
If they knew this about me, they probably wouldn't still stick around.
Yeah. Sometimes, so what else is confrontation? Sometimes confrontation is confession of ownership. Okay, so there was a moment, shortly after I'd started incorporating confrontation, honest communication into my life, was feeling set free. I'd, lots of conversations with my mom. The first couple, I literally left shaking, like violently shaking on the phone after having the first conversation with my mom, thinking I'm going to the irrational thoughts that existed after telling my mom how I felt growing up was crazy. I thought I was going to destroy my parents' marriage. They were going to get a divorce. So this was going to cause, I truly believed in my heart of hearts that my mom was fragile. But that belief also bred into the way I perceived other people. Other people are fragile. And so with that belief that people are fragile, that dictated the way I behaved around people. So I will not communicate in a way that could possibly cause somebody shame. When it's like, wait a second, if you feel shame, isn't it great to bring that to the surface so I can love you in the midst of your shame? Wouldn't it be nice to talk about why that shame exists in our relationship? Wouldn't it but I didn't even have a concept of that. I'm just like, no, the feelings are bad, avoid that. And sometimes it's an admission, a confession of ownership. So there was this guy that, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard this story. I'll share it anyways. But there was this guy that really liked a girl, like really, really, really liked a girl that I had kind of got on a few dates with in ministry school. And I had heard, from her at one of our dates, she had kind of created distance and space, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on? It seems like you're engaging with me a little bit differently, like right now." And this conversation was years before the confrontation we talk about. She's telling me in the car. This is years before in ministry school. She's like, "Yeah, I just heard some things about you," and I was like, "Things about me? What are you talking about?" That you're kind of like a player and some of these different things. And I was like, I haven't dated in like 4 years. Like, this is like the first date I've gone on. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was like, and I immediately was like, oh, it's AJ that said this. And AJ, we've been public about this conversation. And so he goes, so she's like, so I literally said out loud, I'm like, was AJ telling you that? And she's like, well, how did you know that? And I'm like, he's in love with you. I'm like, he's in love with you. And she was like, really? And we just had this whole conversation about it. But this guy said lots and lots of things in that conversation about me, lots of negative things. And I just was sitting there going like, he's been nothing but like super kind to my face, shakes my hand, high fives me. It's like super like, holding face when we're together. But I guess apparently thinks all these things about me. And so then he moves back, years go by. Apparently he lost like 150 pounds, moves back to the city that we were in. And I see him at the gym, and he's like, "Oh, dude, what's up? It's good to see you, man." Acts like we're buddy. And for some reason, I feel this like very strong urge to punch him in the face. I was like, why do I want to punch this guy in the face so bad? Like, and I walk away, and I was like, I almost did. Like, I was angry at myself for even saying hi and asking him how he was doing. Like, I was like, I shouldn't have asked him how he was doing. It's like, what a jerk. I said a lot of other colorful things. And then I'm like processing this out loud with a friend, and then I process it with a mentor. And my mentor is like, wow, that guy has a lot of control over your emotions. And I was like, oh, don't you say, like, a lot of control over my emotions. And he's like, you know what you might need to do? You might need to confront him. And I was like, okay. And he's like, so why don't you write out what you'd say? Okay, cool. You're a piece of shit, and how dare you ever act all fake like this?
Wait, pause. It's actually really healthy too. When you guys are thinking about having confrontations, it's really healthy to just say very candidly everything that you feel and need to say. Like, let yourself have a messy, rough draft in writing and say it out loud if you need to, unfiltered. Like, don't have any Christian healthy lens with it. Just let yourself emote and release what you're carrying inside and what you actually feel.
Don't write out the messy message in iMessage on accident.
No.
Okay.
Notepad.
Before sending.
Notepad.
You're like, I'm just not going to press send. Oh, I sneezed. So I'm writing all this stuff out, right? And I'm like, okay, you piece of shit, and I hate you, and it's like whatever I was saying. And I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. And I was like, okay, wow, that's a lot of accusation, a lot of pain there, a lot of wow, okay. And then I rewrote it probably 5, 6, 7 times until I ended up with this. Hi, AJ. I find myself extremely frustrated around you. I think it has something to do with years ago when I was dating this girl, and she shared with me in the car that you said all these things about me that were untrue. And you continue to act like we are really close in relationship. You ask me how I'm doing. You act friendly. And to me, it comes across and seems fake to me. And I find myself frustrated and with that scenario because I can't really do fake relationship. I don't know how to. If you want to continue asking me how I'm doing and have some level of cordial relationship, I think I'll need you to take responsibility for some of those things that you said. But if not, no worries. I would just like to maybe no longer communicate the way we have been in the gym. How does that sound versus the way I said things at first? Okay, so I had that conversation with him at the gym. This guy immediately pauses and starts bawling his eyes out in front of me at the gym. And he says, I felt jealous towards you. You seem like this really cool guy that has all these things together. And I just felt like nothing. And the girl that I liked chose you over me. And I'm so sorry. And I just go, whoa. And he's like, it seems like you like are really healthy and have done a lot of work. Is there any way you'd be willing to meet with me? I gained a friend. I ended up being that guy's best man at his wedding. And it's crazy. I'm like, how did that happen? How did my heart turn so fast towards him too? So much empathy, so much compassion. So I felt for him. And I learned years later, he had so much fatherlessness. His father died when he was 6. And I learned that he didn't grow up with a dad. I got that moment where you're like, forgive them, Father. They don't know what they're doing. When you learn a person's story and you see into their life, you can see like there's a reason why this person behaved the way they did. Mm-hmm. It's not because they have intentions of being angry, bad, in denial of their pain. And it's like, no. They actually, they're unfathered. They're unfathered. They're not parented, or they had abusive or neglectful parents, and they haven't found a replacement of a loving, kind father. And so still, it doesn't mean we're best friends with everybody. We have limited capacity for covenant relationships. But with wisdom, we decide who we're getting closeness with. And a part of this confrontation thing is not just like I hate you for what you did. It's shifting people into the level of relationship they have capacity for with you. And it's like, I'm willing to accept that we can just maybe be cordial people that see each other at parties. I've actually had to say that. There's another, I'll just share this story too. When I'm having this, so my mentor, he gives me this early on when I'm a people pleaser. He gives me this homework. He says, I want you to be brutally honest with every person in your world for a month. I was like, dear God, could I imagine a worse punishment in my life? And no. And so I see this guy at this bar, and yes, I went to the bars back then. Yes, I was getting healthy. I was going to the bars frequently. And there's this bar called Shameless O'Leary's. Oh yeah, loved that bar. And I see this guy, and he's from church, and he, he's like, hey, what's up, man? And we were going back and forth, and I was like one of those loud people that makes friends with everybody. I'm kind of like a golden retriever. I am, but in bars. And so I'm seeing this guy, we're going back and forth, just laughing and joking and stuff. And he's like, you know what, man? He's like, we should get together for coffee sometime. Like, I like you. You're a good dude. And I immediately felt like just drained. Like the idea of getting together, I was like, that feels exhausting inside of my spirit. And I just was like, oh God, I have to be honest. I remembered my homework, and I was like, this is the worst homework I could ever have. And I paused, and I was like, hey man, I was like, I'm gotta be honest with you. I don't want to get together for coffee with you. Could you imagine saying that? I didn't, like, I knew, because I'd run this scenario so many times. I wasn't allowed to say, oh, I can't, I don't have time. I wasn't allowed to use any of those excuses. Yeah. This was a homework to be as honest as I knew how to be. I'm not saying I did it right. But I said, I don't want to get together for coffee with you. The guy goes, what? And I was just like, didn't know how to take it. And I was like, I didn't know how to give it. But I'm just like, okay, well, I was like, man, I was like, to be honest, I have like really close people in my life I barely have time for and capacity for. And to be honest, like, I really like seeing you at the bar and seeing you around town, and I enjoy our interactions, but I don't desire to build another friendship, right now at this point in my life. And the guy was like, oh, okay, man. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And I was like, I'm sorry, I had to be honest with you. And it was awkward. But here's the thing. And I learned this later on, that guy had a strong pull and a need. He had a strong pull and a need for somebody to fill the void of his loneliness. I learned this just from like mutual people. Like, you don't always learn that, but it was nice for me to learn that, because I kind of got some more, why was that a draining experience for me? And he carried rejection, and there was just like a huge need for something. And but I felt so much respect for myself. And when I saw him around town, I could see he respected me for being honest. And I walked around going like, oh my gosh, my heart felt so full because I didn't violate my heart. And have I learned better ways to communicate in moments like that? Sure. But like the point is that, that was me drawing closer to him, and him allowing him to see into what was actually going on in my heart. What we do in moments like that all the time is we say, yeah, let's get together sometime. It never happens. We go, just keep putting it off, keep making plans, like, sorry, we'll get together at some point. And it's like, you never had any intention. You were lying. You were lying to that person. You had never had an intention to get together. And that honesty is something that's actually fuel for your heart to be very true and live full in your relationships you do choose. And this is the last thing I'll say before we move on. Confrontation is protection over connection. So even when Jesus confronted the Pharisees, he was protecting connection with the people he was speaking to and leading. If you look at every time he confronted a Pharisee, it was because they were inhibiting an authentic connection between him and people, or God and people. Right? And obviously he's God. But when he's talking about, like, when he goes to the temple and he's saying, my father's house has turned into this, another confrontation, right? They go to the temple to connect with God. They're turning into something else. It inhibits connection. He fights for connection in every confrontation. And connection is about what's the relationship and can it grow closer?
Yeah, I think back to the garden and, how Spencer was sharing that confrontation of the father asking Adam, like, where did you go? And he obviously knows where he is, but he's asking, like, why did you pull back from me? Why are you hiding? Where did you go in our connection? And there are so many times in relationship that I have to ask that same question to my friends, to my family, to Spencer, even to Wilder. Now that Wilder's 3 years old, I'm having to ask, like, hey, something happened right there where you got really upset. Like, what was happening? What made you want to pull back? Hey, you just called me mean. Tell me about what was going on for you in that moment. And it's helped protect so many of my relationships. We can all sense and feel the energy when someone's pulled back. You know it. You can feel it. Even whenever someone's like, no, nothing. The amount of times that with people that have been, close friends, at least for a season, I've asked, hey, it feels like something shifted in our relationship. Benefit of the doubt. I love giving benefit of the doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you're really busy. Maybe you feel like you're spread thin. I don't want you to feel like I'm pulling on you. I'm not needing to spend more time. I'm just asking. It feels like there was a shift. Did something happen? Did I do anything that caused you pain? I want to just kind of put feelers out and talk about it. And that has saved so many relationships where people didn't feel permission to share, where people didn't feel permission to be honest. And whether it was, we are squeaking, our chairs are rubbing together. It saved so many moments. Like I had a friend who basically our relationship drifted for about a year. After a month in, I did a check-in. Hey, is everything okay? Did I do something? Did I say something? If so, I'd love to hear. I'd love to make it right if I did. But I just want to see. No, nothing. Everything is totally fine. We're just busy. Okay. I knew something had happened. I felt it energetically. And then another almost a year goes by and we had reconnected. We're having some vulnerable conversations. And I had set a lot of culture in our relationship for like honesty, communication, working through things. And so I think she felt enough safety at that time to let me know that she was afraid that Spencer and I had an open marriage and that we were trying to pull her into the marriage. And
I was like, what?
She wasn't even saying this clearly. I was having to I was wanting to say read around the bush.
Beat around the bush.
Beat around the bush. There we go.
Yeah, you read around the bush right there.
Read between the lines. This is what I was doing. I was blending read between the lines and beat around the bush. Read around the bush. I was having to say, wait, are you saying that you were thinking that we had an open marriage and you were thinking that we were like trying to manipulate you into it? Talk about me feeling misunderstood. For someone I was friends with for 2 years. I'm like, do you really not know me at all to where you could ever misjudge either one of our characters? Like, it was so baffling to me. And it was all a miscommunication or misunderstanding around when she was in pain one day. I said, you need some love. Come here. And I rubbed her back. Lordy, Lordy. Gosh, have we been our culture makes me so heartbroken and there are so many wolves in sheep's clothing. I feel empathy. I put myself in her shoes. I feel empathy because there are a lot of people who are leading and preaching something from the pulpit and living totally different.
Yeah.
But it was a year of disconnection off of a narrative and a trigger that was never brought in vulnerability, that was never communicated. And thankfully, we got to clear things up, create clarity and understanding. But then I walked away from that confrontation feeling so triggered and misunderstood. And I had to bring that to Jesus and bring it back to her. And we still have relationship, but it's been clunky over the last couple of years, as you can imagine. But it's like, how much time do we waste in relationship because we aren't willing to say the hard things, because we aren't willing to bring vulnerability, because we aren't ready to get out past our blame and our judgment, our assumptions and our narrative.
There's usually two types of people too around this stuff. And I would say a big thing that you can explore is which of the 4 F types you are. So fight, flight, fawn, freeze. Are you somebody that in trigger, which confrontation can bring out triggers, okay? It's the moment you stop feeling safety, amygdala gets hijacked, sends you into one of these usual responses. Fight is the type of person that jumps into accusation, blame, okay? This is your fault. Fight types usually need to learn how to connect more with empathy. You got flight, run away. Okay, I'm gonna avoid at all costs. Freeze. It's like, I go internal, I don't know what to say, someone's left the building, right? And then you have fawn. I'm just gonna make sure that you just feel good. I'm gonna abandon myself at all costs to make sure you feel okay. All right, so those are the different responses. You get to do some self-exploration and go, what happens when I get triggered in confrontation? What do I go to? So setting your goal on your side, okay? This is where you go into a confrontation going like, who am I going to be in this exchange, regardless of how anybody else shows up, all right? So deciding that for yourself, set your goal on your side. Connection, clarity, honesty, communication, what is it, okay? They have a choice on their side. If you demand a response, that's when it becomes high stakes, okay? That's when you're entering into control. How do I say the things to get the response from them that I want? You need to go into this going, I have no control over how they respond. That's what makes this vulnerable, okay? God reconciled the world to himself, therefore be reconciled. He came regardless of how he'd respond. Guess what? We murdered him. Peter literally said it to the Jews, you killed the Son of Glory. You killed him. And then they were cut to the heart. And then 3,000 people. It's like that confrontation led them to recognize, what have I done? The same people that murdered him realized what they had done. Peter, who denied him, was then the one that confronted. Why? He didn't care how they responded anymore. And it led them to be reconciled to God. God was the one that modeled that first. I don't care how you respond. I'm going to show up with love for you and demonstrate for you I am in pursuit of you no matter how you decide. I am not going to try and control you. I'm here to reveal my love for you. Decide what you want to do with it. That's powerful. When you think about powerful people, they go into a moment with their principles, with their connection, with their decisions, and it's not dictated by how you're going to respond. This is where codependency and working through that stuff is super important. That's the work where we go, how to is not really a communication style. It's more of how to deal with this with you and God, okay? Go into exploratory, asking questions. So many people jump into it and they're like, I'm just gonna tell them all the things. I went into this last confrontation with a buddy and I'm like, hey, how do you experience friendship? Like, what's friendship mean to you? And how do you engage in friendship? Like you've called us really close friends. I'm just curious, like, what does friendship mean to you? I just want to understand, like, how do you do friendship? Like, I'm just trying to understand. I come in seeking to understand first. I'm asking questions about the things. I'm like, oh, okay, you said we were really, really, really close friends. I haven't heard from you in a year and a half. And the last time you came over, I was hearing all of your worst and hardest stuff. And I loved you. You said you've never felt more loved in your life. Why did you no longer continue engaging with me? Asking questions. And then I got to share. So I got to really get understanding first, and then I got to share from that point. Really coming in to seek to understand. And this is hard for discerning people, but assuming that it's like even people that are right all the time, there are enough moments you've been wrong to assume that you're wrong. Discernment we can use as a shield and a protector from vulnerability. Don't use your discernment as a shield from vulnerability. When we're bringing discernment to the table, it's like, no, I know what you were thinking. I know what you were feeling. Okay. When you start getting into that territory, not only will you cause defensiveness, but you'll be wrong enough. Even if it's 1 out of 100 times, that's wrong enough to create devastation. So just go in with an assumption. You may not have it right. It's okay. All right. You can respect your discernment. It doesn't mean you're always right. What's a simple opener that people can memorize, right? My goal is connection. Are you open to a 10-minute chat? Super simple, right? Hey, this is an accusation. I just want to understand and repair. If I say anything that's accusational, please share with me, hey, that felt accusational. Or hey, when you said this, it kind of sounded like you were saying this. Help me. I'm doing my best to communicate stuff. Bring that vulnerability to the table. If this is new for you, hey, this is so new for me to bring up stuff like this. We try to shield and hide all these things we're thinking and feeling. When it's I do this with my team all the time. I've had companies where I have 60 employees at a time where I'm communicating this way with people because I don't need to be the guy that has all the right answers. I just want to have real connection. I want to be effective. That's it. I don't care about the ego stuff. I just want it to be an effective relationship. So how are you effective? Well, it's by sharing your heart. It's you have to think what's the best chance of being effective? Well, it's me coming to the table and saying I'm going to be exactly where I'm at. Don't weaponize emotional health against people. Let emotional health be something that drives you closer towards understanding yourself and taking ownership for things in your life. Power is not your ability to control somebody. Power is your ability to have control over yourself. So writing, when you go into a confrontation, stuff we brought up earlier, we tell people to write out letters and drafts first. You write the raw version with accusations, then you write the cleaner versions. Okay. And here's something that's really cool. AI is awesome. If you guys have a very accusational way you would confront somebody, put it into ChatGPT and be like, hey, this is something that I was thinking of bringing up with a friend. What's a way that I can share this with less blame, accusation, more ownership, in a way to really have this person hear, see, and understand my emotions? And honestly, it's pretty good. It's a tool. Is it going to think for you? Is it going to do your job for you? Heck no. But it's a good way to process. And it's a good way to hear AI can take into account all of the great emotional health books that are out there. You can let it be something that's just research and go, oh, it's a combination of the best works that are out there. Let me read it, take it at face value, see if this is helpful. All right. So a few example scripts. Okay. When blank happened, I felt blank. You're oh, that's so easy. I've heard that before. Yeah, it works. When blank happened, I felt blank. Fact led to emotion. Fact led to my emotion. All right. The story I told myself, the narrative I have in my head, the story I have in my head is this. Is there any truth to that whatsoever? Hey, it seems, and I'm not saying this is true, but it seems like that's another way to share what's going on in your head. What I want going forward is blank. Would you be willing to blank? Hey, no pressure, zero expectations, but I would like to just ask blank, right? It's questions like that. Questions that don't lead to control, but just more discovery, understanding. And then when you're going, okay, on the other side of what you said, no, I'm actually going to give them a whole document.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
You're deciding on the other side of what they respond with, they feel, they think, how you are going to conduct yourself. So when you get a lot of understanding, then you get to decide how you're going to respond. This is where we remove control. Do we continue in greater depth? Do we have another meeting, follow up? Or do I let you know you're probably going to experience a change from me? You are letting them know what you are going to do. You do not say, I need you to respect my emotions in this. No, no, no. They either will or they won't. What will you do in response? Confrontation is you still leaving powerful, making decisions, facing the greatest amount of information you can collect. Will you forgive them? Hey, I'm going to need to chew on this. I'm finding it difficult inside of myself to have capacity to forgive you, but I want to. I need some time to chew on it. Thanks so much for this conversation. That's honest if that's where you're at. Sometimes that's hard. Don't stay in the conversation longer than you need to. When I have let go of employees before, you know how much that sucks? I hate it. I hate letting go of an employee. but I've had to. In that conversation, I don't be like, okay, well, do you have any like questions for me moving forward? It's like, no, it's done. I can't do that. I'm like, hey, here's what's happening. It's just going to be effective immediately. I'm so sorry. Hey, if you'd like to like share anything over an email after you've chewed on this, please feel free. Love you so much and wish you the best as you move forward. Try to give as much context as possible. But it's like, am I going to really invite more and more questions into like, what did I do wrong? It's like all these different things.
There's appropriate times to do that depending on the depth and like intimacy level in that relationship and where it's at.
Absolutely. So maybe that was a bad example, actually. I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, no, I've actually had lots of times and opportunities for questions.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to think of who you could have been talking about.
I was like, no, there's like one person I'm thinking of, and I definitely didn't want them to have questions.
The other times we've had to let go of employees, we've both been crying. It's been beautiful.
And they're
sorry,
like,
we took on $1 million of debt. We can't pay you anymore. They're like, this was the best job I ever had. You're the best employee ever. Truly, we've had the best experiences. I'm so grateful.
So I have a bunch of, stuff for handout, openers, 5-line script. Openers can be my goal is connection, not winning. Are you open to talk for 10 minutes? I care about us. I don't want us to grow into resentment. This is vulnerable. I'm trying to do it clean, not accusatory. Hey, can I share my experience and then hear yours? Is that cool? There's all these things I want to give you guys that are kind of like just little sentences and phrases you can use.
And then pro tip, whenever you are going into any kind of confrontation, or you're even just processing about it, Chat GPT is actually an incredible resoce.
I already mentioned it. No.
Communication.
I already mentioned it. Yep, we're done.
And then get out of here. I'm going to chat you a nicely worded message after this. And you talked about...
Wow, Sammy, that was really good.
Did you have it talk about highlighting like your blame and accusation?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all done.
Shame on me for leaving and nursing my baby. Okay, great. One thing that I think is great too, I was processing this with my friend because I'll have chat call me out, like, where's their blame, where's their accusation, and then teach me about it. Like, how is this blamey? And I'll go back and forth to see it. The funny thing is, like, you can write really wonderfully worded messages and emails, but can you back that up when you're actually going to have real conversations? It's one thing to sound healthy and have healthy language and communication. And that's great. If you're only going to have text exchange, you can get away with it. It's totally fine. But that was my honest question. I had a friend I thought I was going to be reaching out to. I've already tried to do a few healthy conversations, and there's just so much denial that she has that she acts like everything is fine every time. And it just was like, man, I can have chat highlight all my blame and accusation that I feel, but it cannot get rid of it for me. Yeah. And so it's a call and an invitation to, where do I need to do the work? Yeah. I don't want to just sound good and not be able to follow through with what I'm actually feeling internally. So
yeah. Real quick, replacing always and never, and you made me feel. So you never. And it's like, yeah. So in the last week, there were 2 to 3 moments where instead of you never, right? So highlighting a few actual experiences rather than you never generalizing statement. Generalizing statements put a person in the defense where they have to explain to you a generalizing statement that they believe, right? And then you're just arguing, oh, we just see things differently. And it's like, well, how about you bring up like actual cases in which you felt something as a result of experiences? That's why short accounts is so valuable in relationships, because you're like, okay, I might forget. I might like make a case. And then when I'm building a case against someone, now it's like they're on trial having to defend their case, right? You don't want to do that. When people get defensive, you can say things like, I'm not saying you're bad. I'm just describing my experience. Another thing you'd say, even if that wasn't your intent, it was the impact on me. Okay, so can we talk about the impact? Help me understand what was going on for you, because here's what I perceived. Okay, so When people minimize.
Can we just
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it real quick. No,
okay.
do it real quick. When people minimize, I'm not asking you to agree, just to understand. Hey, small to you, but big to me. Can we honor both realities for a second? That's a good one, right? Minimizing. Why do people minimize? Because they feel shame if this feels big, right? You're saying it's like there's still shame there. When people reverse it onto you, hey, I'm willing to talk about that next and have time and space for your feelings about this. Can we finish this thread first? And then I'm happy to hear anything you're wanting to share as well. Hey, that matters. If they're turning it on to you, hey, that matters. I'm asking to take turns being the focus. Is that okay? Tone, boundary lines. Okay, so when it keeps escalating, like, hey, I want to keep talking, but not with sarcasm or raised voices. I'm available for hard conversations, not disrespect. I'm going to take 20 minutes and we'll come back at X time. Right? Pauses.
Taking a break. Yeah.
It's really good. Repair requests, right? So next time, would you be willing to tell me earlier rather than waiting this long? Hey, can we agree we address issues like within 24 to 48 hours or like at least try and keep short accounts? Hey, what would repair look like to you? Like, here's what it looks like for me. Right? Ownership. Hey, you're right. I got sharp. I'm sorry. Validating emotions and not necessarily the narrative. That's a good one. Hey, I get that when I did this, you felt this way. I'm so sorry about that. I'm not agreeing that I am the person you think I am. I'm agreeing that you felt a certain way when I did that thing, and that impact matters to me, and I'm sorry that impacted you that way. No excuses. I did X. I understand it hurt you. Thank you for staying with me. I'm learning, right? Closing scripts. Hey, thanks for hearing me. What I think we agreed is X. I feel closer after talking. Let's check in tomorrow. I'm committed to us, and I'm committed to honesty, right? Is that good? Helpful? Sweet. Sorry that went long. Let's jump into some questions.
Yeah, so I'd love if you asked a question that we already answered and covered, would you wave at the camera? A few. One? Only one? No, two, three, kind of. Got four. Three unsure, one for sure. Good. I'm glad we covered so much. Okay, if you still have remaining questions, we'd love for you to throw those in the chat and we will randomly select them.
Yes.
With the whole 25 minutes. No. 15 minutes? 25 minutes? Bad math.
25 minutes.
Good math at first. Questioned the math.
Oh my gosh, when I ask her to do math and stuff, it is like, it's baffling to me.
It's really, really bad. Really bad.
Oh gosh. Are you guys re-asking your questions? I can't see what's happening.
Yes, that's what I asked you to do. Retype it
your question
into the chat. Never ask me to do math because I will let you down on a deep and personal level.
Oh my gosh. I literally explained something. It's like 5 times. She's like, I just give up. I was like, okay.
Okay, Melissa, I'm seeing yours. Okay, wait. Is that the first one? Yes. How to not take things personal when someone confronts you. You have to work through your trigger. That is the only way to not take it personal. So when you confront me, what am I feeling? What am I believing about myself? What is the pain that is getting triggered? What's the narrative or the story that I'm telling myself about your pain?
Whoa.
And then spend the time, go through our trigger training. That's the answer to this question, is go through our trigger training.
Yeah, shameless pitch.
What am I feeling? What am I feeling? When did I start feeling it? What does it remind me of? So Spencer might confront me and tell me blah, 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 blah. I can't think of an example and I don't want to waste any time.
Because you're perfect and there's nothing to confront you on.
But if it feels personal, that's my indicator that like I'm feeling some shame and I'm believing a narrative about myself, that I'm not a good wife, that I'm not a good friend, that no one will ever, understand me if it's the trigger of feeling misunderstood. So if you are feeling like threatened by the confrontation, give yourself full permission to just say to them like, hey, I might need some time to process this because I can tell I'm feeling a little triggered and a little defensive. So let me like pause this conversation and then I'll come back and then do some of those trigger steps so that you can walk in having a full heart and ready to actually hear their pain. Does that feel helpful?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing the trigger training again. It's definitely a note that I've gotten at my job with youth group at my church and at work that like I take things really personally.
Yeah.
And I guess I just kind of take things to heart too. And I had a lady, and I've talked about this a couple of times, but the latest thing was she accused me of a whole lot of things that weren't true. And it was just lie after lie after lie. And then nobody was defending me, and it just felt I felt very alone in it.
Yeah.
And my church was really helpful later that night, but it was I'm still trying to get over the moment of where the people weren't there for me right when I needed it.
And a part of this too is you need to decide how you want to engage with the culture. So sometimes there's a culture that exists where people sweep things under the rugs or form cases, or it's like it just exists. There's churches that have terrible cultures. Like they're not immune to it. There's businesses that have terrible cultures. There's communities that have terrible cultures. So I think a part of this too is going like, hey, real quick, it seems that you've built a case against me, and I'm starting to get from you some accusational language. Is there a way that you can share specific pointed things and when they happened so that I can address each one by one?
And another thing, when something isn't true, like, hey, I'm hearing a lot of stories and facts where if this were true, I too would be upset. I too would feel pain. I'm trying to hold space for this. I want to hear you, but I'm just hearing a lot of narratives about me that aren't true.
Yeah.
You can, like, that's healthy confrontation too. It would be hard to not take something personal. Like in my words, I want to say, like, it'd be hard to not get triggered whenever someone is bringing accusation and blame. Like, what is your natural defense? If someone's about to throw a punch and you see it coming, are you going to just stand there and put your face out for them? No, you're going to do what you can to protect yourself. And that's what we do emotionally too. Like, we want to throw up walls and defenses to try to protect ourselves whenever we feel threat coming in. And so it really is important, an assertive way to protect yourself is putting a stop to blame and accusation. So some of the tips that Spence even was sharing with you guys, like, hey, I'm hearing you're in a lot of pain. I want to be able to hear you, but the things that you're sharing aren't true.
Yeah.
And so maybe we can sit down, like, I'd love to hear.
Or even with a third party, if the person's unwilling to like hear you or respect your side of it. It's like, hey, you're bringing up some stuff. Can we bring in a third party and maybe like have a mediator with this conversation?
And there will be plenty of people, you guys, that are incapable of having healthy, respectful conversations and confrontation. That's whenever you're like,
okay.
It sounds like we're not. I just did this with someone last week, where I was reaching out to just like bring love, and they weren't in a place where they could hear it. I can tell that they had a very they really believe the narrative, the story that they've told themselves. And I could tell that we weren't going to be able to see eye to eye. So I said that to them. Yeah. Hey, it sounds like we're not going to be able to see eye to eye. Like we view what happened very differently, and I wish you the best. And I literally left it at that. And in this scenario, Melissa, maybe this person is incapable of having a healthy confrontation. That's when you have the boundary. And this is a beautiful time, you guys, where you get to find comfort in the fact that Jesus was misunderstood time and time and time again, and betrayed and done so dirty. And we aren't promised that we're going to be seen, known, understood in life by the body of Christ so that we can get all of our needs met and feel secure. Like, no, we can take heart that Jesus, tell me about what that was like to feel misunderstood. And how do you want to be the one who sees me, because this person is not going to be my source of that, and that's okay. But I'm going to keep taking comfort in the fact that you know this better than anybody on the face of planet Earth, and so I'm going to let you meet that need for me.
Yeah.
I hope that's helpful for you, Melissa.
Yes, thank you so much.
I want to
girl.
hear Caitlin's question, because it seems like there might be a little bit more nuance here. Can you share your question?
Yeah, so this is so timely, you guys. I've just been praying about the hard conversations with close friends. And so one of my best friends, I'm about ready to move, hopefully, in spring. And so with that, I'm seriously looking at the relationships and friendships I have, being honest with myself with which ones I'm content with and which ones not, and why, and asking myself, who do I want to come with me, and how do I want my current friendships to look like? I have one friend in particular who she's kind, she's responded well when I've confronted and been gracious, and but she doesn't have that hunger for growth. She doesn't there's patterns I've seen she's choosing into dating that's not good for her, knows it's not good for her, knows she doesn't know why, and doesn't want to seek help, even though I've gently suggested there's people that could help her work through that, you know. And I also have felt it when I was in an abusive relationship, knew what it was like to be in that place where I didn't want to let go yet because of my own pain. And so I don't want to just abandon her either. But I feel like I had promised to be with her, and I had actually told her, even if you choose into this, she didn't at the time, but the pattern's still there and I'm watching it repeat. Like, even if you choose into this, I'll still be with you. And I can do that while also being like, look, this is how I can be with you. So I don't have to, but it felt momentous. I don't want to just cut the friendship. I don't know that I need to, but I'm just acknowledging also, I feel a lot of discontentment in our relationship. I am wanting more hungry people. Now that I'm at a church that's full of them, I'm like, I want people who are spiritually alive and Holy Spirit babies and physically healthy, and that's important, and emotionally healthy, and, you know, wanting to build a business and all the things. And I want to surround myself with people like that, because that's where I'm going. And I also don't want to be in a place of arrogance now that I feel like, oh, I'm so healthy. I don't want to be close friends with you because you haven't had coaching. You haven't done what I've done. So I just feel like you guys you've talked about a lot of this stuff, and I just feel like I could really get some value from what you guys have to speak into that. So, and also there's another important value. She is also, she's been afraid that she's had friends leave her before and have been afraid. And I'm afraid that I'll leave her. Like, I feel like we'll be friends for life. You're my very best friend. And I'm recognizing I'm feeling the pressure of that. And I'm actually great distance. And that's one of the things I'm going to have to be honest with her about and apologize that I didn't share that sooner. So I'm just curious how to what are some good questions that I can ask myself, and what are some good ways that I can prepare for that conversation? Obviously, I'm probably still going to do the rough draft, and I've got other coaches that I'm going to ask, because this is a big deal, and I really want to do this well. So, all that. What do you guys think?
So just for me to understand, you're saying you want to be free to be able to spend your time maybe with more passion on fire, like-minded people, and you kind of feel like this pressure to have to spend lots of time with her.
She's going to be moving.
Okay.
But she feels the pressure to maintain the same level of closeness because her friend has rejection and abandonment things. But she's wanting to shift out of that relationship to the same, like, she wants less connection and intimacy. She knows she's going to have that conversation because of this specific friend and relationship. But she's like, how can I do this well?
Have you talked about the moving and how that might affect things?
I actually just did today. I had a brief conversation with her and mentioned, like, I actually recognized, and like, I know, 'cause she didn't take it well when I mentioned a new friend that I met. I'm like, I think we're gonna be great friends. And she didn't take it well. She was like, oh, that's who you're replacing with, right? And then she called and apologized later.
Okay.
She's like, I'm just afraid. This is the story. You're not the same person. So there was good ownership there. Yeah. But I did also call her back today and was like, or she called and I was like, yeah, like I recognize this is going to be hard for you. It was hard for me when my friends didn't have as much time for me as I wanted them to have. And so I felt a lot of compassion for you, but I also still have some feelings about this and I need to work through some stuff and I still need to talk about it with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. I feel like the questions, sure, you can ask some questions in it. Here's the way from limited information
for herself,
that you're sharing.
Questions for herself is what she was asking.
Questions for you to ask yourself. Is that what you're asking?
Yes. She's
like, so that I can approach this.
Yeah.
Wow. And
yeah. Okay. Now I'm catching
and
the
also,
drift.
how can I invite her? I'm like, look, these are the kind of people that I'm wanting to spend more time with. I'm not going to come back home very much, but like, is this the kind of life that you want? From what you've shown me, this isn't really what you're about. But or maybe should I just leave that alone?
I wouldn't share that. I wouldn't share that. That's you try. It's like a over communication of stuff that's not really like
not helpful for her to hear. It's okay for you to know and feel, but it would just tack on rejection and it'd create justification for why you're doing what you're doing.
It's almost like you trying to really pointedly speak to the trigger that came up when she noticed that you had a new friend. And so I think based on what you're saying, the conversation for me might look like something like this, where I'd be like, hey, I've really been kind of like chewing on this, thinking about it, especially since you had that moment. You took good responsibility for it when you said, like, oh, is this the person you're replacing me with? But I noticed I have a lot of anxiety around our friendship because I do love you, but I know things are going to change. And I also feel anxiety because, there's this fear I have when you shared, like, man, I've had a lot of people that have, like, created separation with me and they left me as friends. Like, I'm afraid you're going to make that the narrative about me and my life and the way that we've been friends.
And I don't want you to feel that pain of rejection or abandonment. I would hate for you to feel like that, but I inevitably am going to be moving and there will be separation and I can't take responsibility for you feeling those things.
Yeah. And so, exactly that. And it's like, but I want to let you know, like, again, our relationship will change and I'm in a vulnerable state when I'm moving. I don't know how like I might need friendships in this new stage of life. I don't know what my life's going to look like, but it's definitely going to change here. Like I'm not saying that I'm great at long distance. I don't know. I've never done it, but I know things are going to change, and I just want to be able to talk about that, and for you to know, like, nothing that I'm doing in this is against you. It's for the things that I feel called to and I'm moving towards. But I just respect our relationship and the history of our friendship to at least bring this up because I feel afraid. I feel afraid.
And also, I'm not saying that we're not going to stay connected. I just can't promise how connected we're going to stay. Yeah. I don't know what that's going to look like. I only have capacity for so many long distance relationships. I think I feel afraid of you having expectation that we're going to stay a certain amount of connected, and I might not be able to meet that expectation, and I feel kind of scared of disappointing you. And I just want to let you know. It's kind of a open-ended conversation too, where you're going to have to sit with some of that, like, I'm afraid of disappointing you. I don't want to let you down. I made those promises. This feels kind of hard and messy because I also don't really want the relationship, if I'm really honest with myself. Not saying any of those things, obviously, but that's the discomfort you're going to kind of have to sit in.
And you could even ask, like, what are your expectations of our friendship moving forward? If you wanted to. And if she shared, well, I was hoping this, and this. And it's like, I'm going to like need you to take some of that off the table, just so we can figure out what it becomes. And I get that you might perceive that as like a withdrawal of friendship, but it's actually just the natural thing that might happen as a result of me moving and exploring new things in my life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In no way does that change the honor and love that I have for you.
Does that feel helpful, Caitlin?
Yeah, it does so much. And it takes a lot of permission off of me to have to explain the why behind everything too. And I'm like, because not everything to share would be helpful for her or would feel good to me heading out, but sharing like, this is what I'm moving towards. And just, I will have limited capacity. Like, this is what I'm moving towards. You've made it clear you're not really moving that way, even though I've invited you to come with me. And so, like, this is just how it's going to be, you know, just come in two different directions.
Yep.
The space, like, you guys not having proximity will solve a lot of this problem naturally. It's just going to be this front-loaded, like, having to address it, to honor the relationship and to just be like, I care for you. I understand your triggers around this. This is why I'm wanting to talk to you about it. But honestly, like, once you shift,
it's just going to be
solves a lot of problems with people. You're like, I don't actually want to have closeness with you. Well, now we're not close in proximity, so solves that problem.
But here's the thing too, is like, at some point she's going to have to work through this, because if this is a cycle of narrative, then she's going to have to work through it, and you have no ability to impact that.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be your own self-discovery.
You got this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I poke in one more thing?
I want to move on to the next question, actually, just because we have limited time.
So sorry. There's
I'm
7
so sorry.
minutes,
Yeah.
and we'd love to get to at least one other question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But we love you so much. And if we had more time, we'd say yes.
Yeah, I didn't want coached. I just wanted to mention this was my last call.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay.
So I would feel bad if I don't actually say this.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is my last call actually, and just thank you guys for the journey, and I love you guys, and I already miss you.
I love you too.
Thanks for
love
being
you
with
too.
us.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said something.
I'm glad you. Yeah, I was like, we can't do more, but this is so great. We love you so much, and wish you the best. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck on your move. Okay.
Wendy,
do you want to just share? Or do you want us to read it?
Oh, yeah. You could read it.
Okay. So you said, what if someone is pursuing me to have the conversation, but she refuses to acknowledge the hurt that she causes us and take ownership of the problem? What do I do? She keeps saying things like, in my defense, and I used to be a people pleaser, and I'm learning about boundaries and learning healthy confrontation. She's not used to this new me. Ooh, that's a hard one.
So she's pursuing you to have a conversation about, like, can you give us any of the content of the conversation?
Yeah, of course. So my husband, he's not very close to his mom at all. He just kind of tolerates her because he knew that our daughter and I wanted to have a relationship with her, and you know, she comes through and visits us every time she goes from her summer house to her winter house. And so it's come to a point where she always shows favoritism to her other son. And so I finally had a confrontation with her. I didn't mean to happen, but she could sense, like you said, she could feel this tension between us.
Yeah.
And I think I had always been, my husband told me, I've always been sweeping it under the rug. So it's always to, you know, my poor husband, he just kept his mouth shut. You could have the relationship with her. He says I would always sweep it under the rug. And I realized that when we were on a trip together, like a family reunion, I saw the things that my husband would complain about with his mom. Like she treated our family really bad. Just in a nutshell, she showed extreme favoritism to the other son and his whole family. It came to a head where last summer my daughter went to go to their house, and she called us and said, how come there's no pictures of us in the house? It's all of the brother and all of his family, no pictures of us.
Wow.
And when she confronted her grandma, she didn't have a good answer. She just said, well, it's because you guys can't be here, and it hurts me so much. And so I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back with my husband. And he's like, I don't want anything to do with her, blah, blah, blah. So so that's where I really got hurt. And so I felt myself, I have this growing tension with her, distance from her, and I was feeling so much anger and hurt, but I'm trying to have more compassion because of the way she was raised. Yeah. She had a very abusive father, and she had to help him and his family. Yeah. So she senses attention. She's trying to approach us and saying, hey, can we have a conversation? But we've tried to have this conversation with her before, saying, your son feels hurt because of this and that, but she won't own up to anything. She'll just always say, well, in my defense, yeah, just
it's a big shame. It's a big shame core. The inability to take ownership for something is that the shame is too big. If I take ownership for this, it will mean that I am disgusting and not worth love.
It's like I'm admitting that I'm unlovable.
Yeah, when instead of admitting you just have impacted us poorly. Yeah. And there's actually room for repair, and I'm asking for it. It's like, oh, I can't hear it that way. It just sounds like I suck and I'm bad and I'm not lovable. And so there's that. And it sounds like, too, she brings people close that she feels accepted by, which is probably why she has pictures of the other, the other brother's family, is because she's like, oh, I feel accepted and loved by them, so I will bring them closer. But the story in my head is that you guys don't accept, love me. And then when you bring up this stuff, it reinforces that I'm a bad mom. And
sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
With the other brother, he doesn't give her any attention at all.
Okay.
Like he's even cut her out of their lives because of whatever drama. But yeah, so that's why it's hard to understand.
Sure. So here's what I would say. I would say you need to decide. I would say first decide which things you want to know from her to create clarity and understanding. And so have a series of questions where you're like, it would be really nice to have like full clarity and understanding of these things from her. And then you can put together your questions. So you can have a clearer understanding. It's like, hey, how do you feel about us as a family? Questions like that.
That's a good one.
How do you feel about me, like personally? How do you feel about your son, like my husband? How do you feel about my kids? Like, how do you feel about them? Hey, what do you think we think about you? Some of these questions help you get a deeper understanding of the way she perceives everything. And then can I correct some of those things? Would you mind if I speak into any of those things? Is that okay? Now what you're doing is you're getting to address the narrative first. After all that, then you can go, hey, now I can communicate to the little girl in her that thinks she's not enough and go, hey, anything I share with you is because we actually so much want connection with you. And it's painful because the story in our head is that you don't like us and you don't want connection with us. And my kids think that. And it sounds like that's not the truth. But when we heard these things, like our pictures aren't there and these things, that just feels so painful for us. I want to find a way to repair because ultimately we want connection with you. Is that something you want?
And just addressing like the one tidbit of like she's not good to have confrontation with because she won't actually take ownership. You just sharing like I would love for us to be able to get on the same page, but every time I've brought things up, it sounds like you're just defending yourself. You literally say in my defense. And what would be helpful for me is to help you actually engage in a conversation about this. Hearing if you're able to take any ownership for this. Like I would like for us to like go back and forth, like let's wrestle through this because I want to see you. I care about understanding where you're coming from. But when you're just defending, it's really hard to get to a point of connection. Do you feel like you're open to having that conversation? Like seeing... Because some of it is seeing if she's capable and willing to soften and to let those defenses down. And some of this is an art of like, I want to see you. I want to hear your heart.
Well, questions too. Like, oh, okay. I hear you saying like in your defense this. Did anything I just said feel like an attack on you at all? What part of that felt like an attack? So it's just like every little thing. You can get so granular on the questions. And again, you're going into this removing mother-in-law title and going, I see the scared little girl in this relationship dynamic. Because that's what she is.
Yeah.
And so going, okay, how would I talk to a scared little girl? You're probably going to break down some of those things. You're probably going to ask a clarifying question here. Hey, when you just said this, like in defense, what about what I just said felt like an attack? What did you think I just said? What did you hear me say right there? I guess, how are you perceiving this? So it's like those types of questions. Does this make sense?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It makes so much sense. Thank you.
Does it feel helpful?
Very.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then however she responds, Wendy, is you guys deciding as a family, like, hey guys, she may not be capable of this.
Yeah.
She may not be even capable of awareness. There might be so much denial around all of this pain and stuff. I think we might just need to treat her as a person that we don't necessarily expect anything from, that we just love when we see her. And it's like, do you feel like we're able to do that? What do you feel like you need for forgiveness? And then as a family, you can talk about this around the dinner table.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you need for forgiveness towards her? What do you feel like I feel? And that way it's a separate conversation that doesn't involve her, but it's your own powerful decision to forgive.
It's a way to get closure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have this conversation like almost every night for dinner.
Yeah.
It's like, what do we do?
Yeah.
This is
hard.
so helpful. Thank you so much.
Good.
Totally.
Good.
Awesome.
I'm so glad.
Man.
I want to just like close, and I wish we had more time. If we didn't have a date night after this, you guys, we would definitely extend. But mom and dad.
Since we have a date night later, I'm just kidding.
One thing that I want to close with, though, is in having these conversations and confrontations, how do we end and land, no matter which way it goes, in love? How can I let love, his unconditional love, wash over me so much that regardless of how this goes, I can be in a place of love, compassion, and forgiveness no matter what? How can I become more like love? How can I let this situation refine me? The accusations that I've been faced with when I've had confrontations, I'm not going to let that create a story and a narrative about me. I want that to be the thing that refines me so much, where I can still bring love and compassion to the table when I see that person, where I can still be more and more like Jesus based on however right or wrong that confrontation was. We don't want this to turn into like in emotional health. We can learn so much healthy tools and content, and it can kind of turn into this thing of like the way we think relationship needs to go.
Oh yeah.
So guilty of it.
Moral superiority.
It's really easy to create like a separation, this us and them mentality, and create hierarchy of, and it's a way to protect yourself. Well, she's so unhealthy, he's so unhealthy, and I've done all of this work. And Caitlin even mentioned some of this, and I loved hearing you unpack and process some of that. It is so easy to create that separation and be in judgment whenever we do that. And so what does it look like to come to a place of, even if you don't have capacity, even if you are stuck in the abandonment and rejection trigger, even if you have brought judgment and accusation to me, how can I make sure that I walk away with my heart being soft, tender, empathetic, full of love?
And this is what we're doing as parents right now. When Wilder says, you're mean, it's like, well, obviously, like, I'm not mean, like, but you're upset. It's the same thing. It's like the triggered little boy or little girl. How can I see that person in the midst of this conversation?
I have to do this work so much with a 3-year-old, you guys. I'm getting humbled. It hurts. It hurts. Communication.
And we are failing often. Okay.
Very.
So we get up here and we share this awesome message, and then we fail. It's great. But this is the grace that we need from our Lord.
Can't reason with a 3-year-old.
No, you can't. Not with terrorists. You don't negotiate with terrorists.
Anyways, I pray and hope that you guys all like leave this conversation feeling an invitation into intimacy with God, not just like, what are all the things that I need to say and how do I communicate it, and like, what are all of the messes that I need to clean up. Like, I don't want it to be a triggered energy you leave with, but more like, there is an invitation for me to love well and for me to process pain in a healthy way that will yield more freedom and produce more fruit in my life. Yeah. That's really what we want for you.
Bless you guys. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And we love you guys. Appreciate you.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yes.
Yay. I hope you guys have a beautiful new year. Holy Spirit, I just bless the year of 2026 for every woman on this call. Would
Year
this
of
just
breakthrough.
be the best one yet? Would they just start this year with so much intimacy with you, momentum, God? I pray that you would give them visions and dreams over this next year, and I pray that everything that they put their hand to would come to pass. All of the prophetic words over their life, desires of their heart, God, would you fulfill them, God, and bring so much revival into their hearts in this next year of their life.
And amen. Let's go on our date.
Love you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Good night.